I'm Aoife Wilson from Eurogamer, and this is the first EGX developer session. To everyone here, hope you're having a good show, and hello to everyone watching on YouTube as well. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up today. We've got Valve and we've got Hellblade, but first up, we've got Total War Warhammer, and here to introduce is Al Bickham from Creative Assembly.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. It's kind of a big show for us this year because we've got quite a lot going on. We've got Total War Warhammer playable on the show floor over there. Right next to that, we've got Total War Arena as well, which goes into closed beta this afternoon. We'll be updating the PCs with a new faction and a new commander, all sorts of fun new, different kinds of gameplay coming out of that faction. So please go and play that as well. And we've got a massive careers booth as well. We've got lots of our developers here. So if any of you, if we've got any budding programmers or artists or musicians in the crowd, and you're interested in a career in games, go and talk to our guys. They'll be more than happy to give you their time. So back to Total War Warhammer for the moment. Now, today I'm going to talk about how characters work in the game, because so much of the essence of Warhammer revolves around legendary characters. They're central to the history and the lore and the narrative of Warhammer Fantasy Battles world. They exemplify the qualities of the races that they lead into battle. And they're also, incredibly powerful, mighty warriors in their own right as now. So with this in mind, we've really shaken up how characters work in Total War. So we're going to be adding a ton of new customization options to characters, including hugely deeper skill trees, a mix of common and legendary magic items, weapons, and mounts which characters can adopt. And many of these magic items, including battle standards, I'm pleased to confirm, will come as rewards for victory in battle, and then can be equipped for future battles and then used in the battlefield. So our characters are essentially split into 3 types rather than 2 now, and this is kind of crucial to the way it works. So looking at character types, the first one is the Lord. Now, Lords can do a number of different roles. So one of the primary uses, of course, is that they can act as generals. They can lead armies into combat. They can bolster their troops in battle, buff their morale, and actually, fight as well because they're quite powerful. Lords can also be cast into different roles, such as they can be admirals, leading navies around the campaign map. They can be placed into a role as an overseer, which is a kind of provincial governor. Or they can be given a job as a protagonist, which is essentially a politician. So they'll sit at home and scheme in a Machiavellian way on your behalf. Our second character type is heroes. Now, in previous Total War games, we had these guys called agents. If you played Total War, you'd be familiar with them. And essentially, they are campaign map agents. They'd move around the campaign map and perform strategic functions on your behalf. Now, the heroes do this. They can still go out and assassinate characters on the campaign map, perform sabotage and other things like that. But they're also incredibly powerful in battle, so we're actually bringing agents to the battlefield now. You can combine combine a hero into an army, and they'll appear in the battlefield and fight alongside the troops there. Now, like Lords, they can be melee or magic-focused. So they can be, powerful warriors, or they can be spellcasters, which will obviously need to cos it around a bit because they're a bit less good in melee than their kind of warrior counterparts. And they're, of course, going to have great deep skill trees as well, with loads of abilities to unlock and active abilities to use in battle. So here's an example of one of our heroes. This is the Dwarf Thane. He's a melee-focused hero. He's got a couple of really key kind of buff-debuff combat abilities. He's in the battle we've got playable over on the show floor there. And this is an example of a hero from the Empire. This is a warrior priest who I bring up here because he's quite intriguing to role sort of function in your army, because he's a melee character, but he can also do some spell casting as well. So, he's really interesting, option to recruit into Empire armies. Now, the big guys are legendary lords. Now, Warhammer is full of these incredibly deep, rich backstory characters, these named characters who've lived through, centuries of conflict and, amazing warriors in their own right. So in the game, they'll lead armies rather like generals do, rather like standard lords do, bolstering their troops, and they can be melee or magic focused as well, according to their focus. And this is an example of one here. This is Thorgrim Grudgebearer. He is the High King of the Dwarves. He's also in this battle here. He's the guy on the left on the giant throne, if that wasn't obvious. And he's carrying the Great Book of Grudges, or the Damaz Chron, which records all the slights against the dwarves throughout the ages. Now, the way it works is once you... oops, sorry, I've just lost my notes here. Once you level up a character, rather like lords, generals, you'll be given some skill points to spend. Now, these can be spent in a number of ways. So the standard kind of lord skill trees are strategic, tactical, and battle skills, which will improve their performance on the campaign map in various ways, in battle in various ways. But the real difference between lords and legendary lords is this. It is the unique character skill tree. It's a whole separate skill tree, which is totally unique to each of these legendary named lords. Now, whoops, sorry, I've gone forward a bit too far. Anyway, so this is another one of the legendary lords. This is Ungrim Iron Fist. He's one of the dwarf lords. And the reason I bring him up is because we actually have 2 legendary lords for each race that you can use. So at the start of your campaign, you can take, you'll have a choice of which legendary lord is going to lead your campaign. Now, through that skills tree, your legendary lords will unlock new quests, new skills, and new magic items, legendary magic items that only they have access to. And this is where a lot of the narrative of the game stems from, because you'll play through with these legendary lords and encounter bespoke battles and entire storylines that take you, as a complete aside to the sandbox nature of the game. So for the dwarves, this is their second leader, their second potential legendary lord, Ungrim Iron Fist. Now, he's a Slayer king, so he's kind of a conflicted character because although he's a king and he manages, an empire, he's also a slayer, which means, it's a kind of difficult balance to have, because slayers essentially want to go out there and they want to find the biggest, nastiest monster they can fight, and ideally die heroically while fighting it. So all that kind of tension, that interest is going to come out when you're playing a campaign as him and you work through his storyline. And for the Empire, we have and there's an example of some slayers there as well in action. You can see them like squaring up to some greenskins. You'll see those in the battle on the show floor. So we also have for the Empire their second choice. So the principal kind of leader that we've shown off so far is Karl Franz. He's very much a traditional kind of empire-building hero. Balthazar Gelt is a very different story. So if you choose him to lead your campaign as the Empire, you'll find he's a lot more tricksy. It works in a much more Machiavellian way. He's kind of hyper-intelligent and provides, a very interesting and different style of gameplay. He'll bring different benefits to your campaign as you play it, different bonuses to various aspects of your campaign. And of course, again, he'll have his own series of quests, legendary items, and skills to unlock as well. So I'm going to leave characters there for now. What I'm going to do is hop over to this PC, and we're going to have a quick run through the battle that we've got playable on the show floor there. Before I do, I'm going to invite 2 of my colleagues up to the stage to provide some commentary on that battle. So if you guys would like to come up. So we have Joey Dalton, who is our community coordinator, and Richard Aldridge, who's one of our principal designers on Total War Warhammer. So if you guys want to stand here, I'll fire up the battle.
Hi, everyone.
So, Richard.
Yes.
We're going to judge Al harshly on his gameplay.
Yeah, you better choose hard.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No
Hard
easy
mode,
for
right?
you.
Okay.
So have we got any Total War fans in here today? Yeah.
What about some Warhammer fans?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Excellent.
Good. You're going to love this then. So what we got, Al?
Sorry?
Good old Thorgrim.
There's Thorgrim there. There's Thane next to him. This guy's name is Valar Mine Ward.
Yes, that's our Thane. That's the hero.
Yeah, so he's called Valar Mine
his
Ward.
special
He's got a couple
abilities
of abilities there. He's got the Foe Seeker and also the Hammer of Draz. Now, as Al was saying, he is an agent from the campaign that comes to fight in battle, and he's really melee focused. So to use the Hammer of Draz, he actually needs to remain in combat to bring out his battling characteristics.
Oh, so that red icon over there is the ambush kind of coming in. And you can see the opposing greenskin army with the massive Arachnarok. And if you haven't seen it yet, we've got one at the stand. Take a picture. It's awesome. Ooh.
On top, shooting their little bows at you, so double damage from that guy.
And he's a pretty formidable fighting force in himself, so it's...
He is. He's heavily armoured, so
is.
you want to use things like the Dwarf Thunderers, which are your rifle-based units, because they can do armour penetration damage.
That and the Slayers as well, because they have anti-large. And if you're not kind of familiar with Warhammer fantasy battles, it's useful to keep an eye on that info panel on the side, on the left-hand side there, so you can just see what special abilities they have and what they're going to be good against.
Yeah, so ours is making use of the Iron Drakes there, which are an elite unit. They're from top to tail covered in Gromil armour. Even their beards are covered in that.
I suffer quite badly from friendly fire with those. Doing good though.
And
What
now
have we
we're
got
getting
here?
into the flame cannons. So these can do incendiary damage, which is really good against things like trolls to stop their regeneration properties. And yeah, they all torch the place.
Yeah. So we've got some more kind of dense units there, but they're weaker, so hopefully the dwarves, heavily armoured,
Yeah.
slower but very powerful.
So the dwarves want to stay in their throng. It's their kind of, their core. They want to stick together. They're slower, they're heavily armoured, and they're going to fight with strong morale. The goblins, they're going to rush in there with you. They will flee at times, but their orc counterparts and other goblins behind will shoo them back into combat.
Now we just zoomed past Thorgrim, and there's kind of this god ray on them, so you can find your leaders and more important characters. But what I find really tricky is the opposing army, the Greenskins, to try and track down old Knobnail's backbiter.
Oh,
Quite
yeah.
a challenge.
The old goblin shaman, yeah. He's travelling around on a wolf, and he's got a number of magic spells with him. Hopefully you'll get to see the Curse of the Bad Moon.
It's really devastating. Plus, it's got random movement, so you can.
That's right.
If you're playing as the Greenskins, you can hurt yourself as much as you can hurt the army if you put it in the wrong place. So you do have to be careful with magic.
The reason why we say hope to see it is because this is all AI driven. So there's no scripted content here from what you're seeing with the Greenskins. It's making use of this new rectangular battlefield, so the goblin spider eyes will like flank you. What have we got going on here? More burning. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not a traditional kind of square battlefield either, because this is a subterranean for the first time in Total War. You've got this kind of corridor, so the ambush is coming from all areas, and Al has to be very careful.
So Al's making good use of there. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
So, attack from the rear, the trolls.
and
Watch
a
out for
giant.
them.
He has a very realistic belly jiggle. It's actually motion captured on my own stomach, and it was a great day in the studio. We had fun. Get in there, Al.
Yeah, get stuck in there. If you focus in on the trolls, they've got a number of nice attacks. They'll kick you between the legs and then they'll puke on you. Oh no.
The Slayers are in there kind of chipping away.
Yeah, the Slayers are brilliant because they're going to fight to the bitter end. So, like Al was saying,
There's the Sig.
they will heroically die for you. You will get to use every last one of them. They won't rout.
Yeah, so the giant has some kind of quite a few special abilities, and so on the side to the left there, that's where you can see the special abilities pop up, and some of those are kind of cycled into the combat movements.
So the giant's a good example where he's got things like Stomp and Yell, which are tabletop rules. They're actually built into his standard battle mechanics, so they're weighted that you'll get to see them on a reasonably often basis, but not too often. There you go. There's some troll cube. Beautiful.
Beautiful. And our Mohawk dwarfs, the Slayers.
There's a flame cannon at work. And then we've got
some good range.
some goblin doom divers coming in over there.
Yeah, the Doom Divers were, when we were at Gamescom, we did the presentation for the Battle of Blackfire Pass, and we could actually control manually the Doom Divers. And in the end, I got really good at it and did some barrel rolls. It was a lot of fun. But they do some pretty good damage and some
they've
good
got
range
a little
as
bit of
well.
an aftertouch effect on them. So when you get to control them,
see them come in.
it won't be just picking a target and letting them hit it. You'll have to work to get that strike on them.
Al's air support has arrived.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Gyrocopters.
Tell me a bit about the gyrocopters.
So gyrocopters are great. They've got two weapons basically that they can use. They've got a steam gun on the front, which will be used to push your troops back and kind of slow them down, give you a bit of breathing space. But rather than just the old-fashioned Total War lines clashing, these guys can negate that and fly right over the top. So hopefully in a minute, you'll see our make use of the bombs that they come equipped with.
So those yellow triangles at the bottom there, you have to be directly above the unit in order to drop them. There's no kind of range there, so...
Here we go.
Yep. And over there.
So you got to pick your moment. It's a little bit of a mini game with a special ability button down there. Come on now.
Oh, yes!
There you go.
Nice.
So that can be highly effective against goblins because their morale's poor. So if you can disturb one unit, it can have a knock-on effect onto others.
So there's old Thorgrim on the throne, and there's the Ragnarok coming into play, and he's also got some pretty nasty moves. I particularly like when he pierces an enemy, pops him in his mouth, and then spits out its weaponry. That's one of my favourites.
Yeah. And as you can see, the artists have really gone to town here, adding in magic mushroom fields and thundering great waterfalls dropping off into chasms on the right-hand side. There you go. So the big creatures have got some special combat there as well, like Joey was saying. But the more standard troops now don't use the synced animations. They get to now charge in and fly through the air and clash and crash into one another and create a lot of impact.
Al's doing pretty well.
Al, have you used any of Thorgrim's special abilities?
Sorry?
Have you used the ring, Al?
Yeah, I used the fiery ring on the Ragnarok just now.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. And Thorgrim has also got a magic potion with him as well, so if Al needs to give some hit points back, he's got that option.
Yeah, that's also new. I think with these kind of battles as well, you can drop items and then use them. There's some one-time usage. I think the potion's one of them.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this being a quest battle, one of Thorgrim's quest battles, he will be able to unlock legendary items for over the course of them, and then customize his character accordingly. So it could be weapon, could be armor, health potion. There's a whole variety on offer.
We're sending in the gyrocopters to tear down the Doom Divers.
That's it, lovely.
It's a wise choice.
Doing all right, Al. You're doing all right.
Now, where is the Goblin Shaman?
Giant is slain.
Is he slain? Yes. Sending them in. Oh, doing a sneaky move around the side.
Still got those Doom Divers coming in though.
Use the potion now. Give him some health back.
So we've got quite a wide range of dwarven units here on offer. You've got things like the Dwarf Warriors, which, along with the Quarrelers and the Thunderers, are kind of the starting troops of your dwarven campaign. We've also got the Slayers and the Iron Drakes, which are your more elite units. And then you've also got like your Longbeards in there as well, which are veteran dwarf warriors, which have got great axes, so they're ideal for taking on people with armor and laying waste to them.
And as the name suggests, the longest beards you have ever seen, practically brushing the floor with them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And you've got 4 of the very best actually holding up Thorgrim's Throne of Power.
And he's still going. He's still live.
The dwarves are also extremely well equipped with artillery pieces. So you've got the flame cannon in this battle, and you've also got the organ gun. And the organ gun, like the Thunderers, does armor penetrating damage. So ideal for taking on black orcs and Ragnarok spiders and so forth. Yeah, well done, Al.
Oh, that was really tough. All right.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can play this yourself at the booth, and if you win on hard mode, you get a T-shirt. So let's see how many we give out.
Yeah, come get some.
Come on then.
So I think we've got time for a very quick Q&A now. So we've got about 10-15 minutes. Now, there is a microphone down the centre of this aisle here. If anyone has any questions, please queue up at the mic and ask away. Oh, that was... guys were saying. Okay. Over the noise that happened. That's all right.
I know. in the last few Total War games like Attila and Rome 2, you've kind of had more of an emphasis on like side quests. But in Warhammer, it seems like you're focusing on proper like main quest line missions. Is that something in particular that you wanted to focus on, or?
Okay, so quest, like what you've just seen there, the ambush here at the Thundering Falls, it's optional. You don't have to take part in it, but we'd like you to because it generates a lot of background content on those characters, bringing out the lore, stuff about them, about their race, about the world, the old world that you're fighting in. So, and they've got amazing rewards at the end of it, so they're well worth you doing that. You know, we also have more standard missions as well. So the dwarves, if you want to play as those, they've got the Book of Grudges. So you'll start your campaign and you'll have a number of grudges to settle, but they'll dynamically also appear over time when other factions and races encounter you and you know, attack you and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of the armies that you've already revealed are based kind of on classic heavy, light armour, kind of infantry pieces with a couple of cavalry units thrown in as well. Have you got any plans to add any of the other more diverse factions from Warhammer, like, for example, Wood Elves and Chaos Demons or anything like that in the future?
Want me to answer that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, so this is just the first game of a trilogy. So we've got 3 games coming out, which will all interconnect with one another. We are going to start off with Empire, the Greenskins, Vampire Counts, and the Dwarves. And there's more variety there than you've probably ever seen in any other Total War game. So, yeah.
Hi. Total War's obviously classically been a franchise that covers historic periods, and with Warhammer, it's the first time you've gone into a third-party license. I was wondering, are there any other third-party licenses that the Total War team would like to get their hands on, apart from Warhammer?
Well, in a very diplomatic way, what I would say is I think there's tons of stuff we'd like to do. We've got a list of what we'd like to do as long as our arms, really. And that includes other historical periods as well that we kind of like to tackle someday. So, you know, let's just go down the line and see where we get to. At the moment, I think we've got enough on our plates. So,
Thank you.
All right.
Hi there. You mentioned these obviously legendary characters like Balthazar Gelt and Karl Franz and how they've got these battles attached to them. My question is, I know, say worse comes to worse and Karl Franz is overrun by orcs and killed, how does that affect gameplay? Does it just move on to another character? Or does his son become the next prince? So say, would he go from Franz to Gelt, for example, if he was killed?
So the legendary lords, yes. They will never die. What will happen is they'll get taken out of the running for a while. So if they fall in battle, they'll have a little convalescence period, and then they'll come back into the campaign. Your regular lords and your hero, is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
They are hard as nails. So you know they're legendary. So they're here to fight. To stick around.
Thanks.
Yeah. Standard lords and heroes can fall in battle, and that can be quite galling if you've spent if you've spent hundreds of turns leveling your guys up. They've got all these abilities that you've given them, and this gear that you've given them. They fall in battle.
But one thing to note is they've got far more health and hit points than you've ever seen before. So, you know, in previous Total War games, you might have been a bit reluctant to send your general in because you know how that would affect the morale of the army, and they don't have a great deal of health. These guys, especially the Thane that Al was just controlling, he's got a ton of that, and you actually want to keep him in the battle. You want to keep him using those abilities while he's fighting, because if you don't, they won't recharge. So, you know, you're good to get them stuck in, regardless if they're casters or melee champions.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah. Well, obviously, you're saying that you're working on some more games in the Games Workshop Warhammer universe. Do you think you're going to continue working with Games Workshop and perhaps move on to 40k eventually?
Well, no plans to at the moment, but as I said, I think we've got much on our plates at the moment, but you know, who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Cheers.
Okay. Is that it?
Is that it?
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Enjoy the day.
Hope you enjoyed it. Please go out and play it. It's out there on the show floor. You'll go and do better than I did.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the show. I think the guys will be doing a Let's Play over on the YouTube gaming stage soon, so if you want to see more Total War Warhammer, go check it out. Thanks very much, guys.